So I think that's going to be the first session, not very IT related. So thank you for those of you who stayed here. Yeah, I hope you're not gonna regret it. If you're gonna be bored or something, just please check your email, whatever. I know you guys know what you do. Today I'm gonna tell a few words about how to build growth in a company, in a startup. This is actually what I do right now. So my name is Wesolowski, and I am founder and CEO of growth marketing agency based in Wrocław, Poland, Growth Engine. I'm also a Google developers marketing expert, so I'm one of the few of Google developers that actually are not developing. But I help you guys to grow your startups. Also as a marketing mentor for Google Launchpads, so it's like the accelerator programs in San Francisco and where so many other places. And the goal of the presentation actually is to come back to your companies, whatever you work, whether you have a startup or work in other companies, and try to implement try to implement the way of thinking, the mindset I'm going to tell you a little bit. I think after half an hour you're just going to have the overview of what you guys should do in terms of building your company's growth. And the topic is actually not very easy. So if you got confused at any point, just tell me afterwards. Just ask questions, so I'll try to explain it. And why I got interested in the topic actually, because I was a CMO of a company a few years ago, and I couldn't grow the business. I was responsible for the conversion, so for the sale of the business. But I have 12 people in my marketing team. I have huge budgets, but I was only responsible for getting the views, getting the traffic to the website. And apparently, marketing teams in companies work like this. It's it's called the silos way. So there's person responsible for email marketing, person responsible for AdWords, for PPC, for web analytics, for social media, and they don't cooperate with each other, and they don't cooperate with other departments. So. It doesn't work simply. Oh, by the way, I love GIFs, so there'll be some GIFs for you guys. At least I hope you're gonna enjoy the GIFs, if not the rest. So it doesn't work, and I started to question how the marketing teams work and whether they should be responsible actually for the business growth. Because working on growth is a very multidisciplinary thing. And growth, what is growth? Maybe that's a good thing to say. For every business, it can be different, right? It depends. It might be either number of the increase in revenue, the increase in customer base. For startups in the very early stage, it might be showing the traction for investors. So every company has their own KPIs on growth goals in mind. But basically, it's always very multidisciplinary thing, and it's a mix between the product, the distribution. Which basically for every startup, for every company, are all the similar. The importance is the same. So there is no great product. A company cannot succeed if they have a great product but no distribution. And if you have shitty product and great distribution, you won't do it as well. So they have to be linked. And the perception of the growth hacking, this is one of the myths, is that you can do crazy stuff with zero marketing. This is how the growth hacking is now visible. But in the real life, actually, it's this is the definition is the marketing work with product management, with sales, with customer service. When you optimize the conversion rate, when you use the data, which is very important, and everything having one thing in mind, so business growth, and more specifically, and this is the so-called the hockey stick graph, which shows how every startup, every company would like to grow. And there are many companies that succeeded this way, but there's even more of those that fail. And growth is not part of marketing. So if you have a marketing team, it's not possible to have a growth team in the marketing team. It's the other way around. So marketing is part of growth because because of the reasons I said I told you about a few minutes ago. Separate teams, separate goals. Marketing can do their own acquisition things. They're posting on Facebook, whatever, and the growth team is really focusing on what to do to make the company growing. Okay, so just some actionable things. So what's when to start working on growth? When you have your product market fit, and this is very important. So your product market fit, basically people want your shit, and this is what Mark Anderson says. So you're on the right market with the right product that can satisfy the market needs. And there are basically 3 phases of every company, every startup growth. Which is phase 1, which is like really getting traction. So finding a product that market wants. This is a lot about testing your product with a small market, developing it, seeing how the product resonates with your audience. Then you get a product market fit. This is the phase 2. And in the phase 3, you basically know what you're doing for whom, and you can basically optimize the growth and build sustainable growth. And the key for achieving product market fit is being very customer centric. And I don't know if you guys do it, but this is I haven't done for many years working in marketing, and it was a huge mistake. You should always talk to your customers. I mean, you can figure it out so many ways why something's not working or not. It's all the hypothesis, but your customer is going to tell you directly what they like, what they don't like. And this is very crucial to talk to you. Early customers or clients, whatever, just to figure it out what they want, what they're looking for in your product. And this is crucial because it quickly allows us to understand what we are doing for whom, what to fix, what to enforce, and basically, yeah, make things people want. And there are a couple of ways you can check the product market fit. You can ask your customers basically, how would you feel if I could no longer use the product? So you have a startup, you have some, I don't know, SaaS or app product, whatever, you have some customer base, and you think, okay, whether I should just, build the growth or do more in terms of user acquisition. And you ask this question to your customers, and if 40% will be very disappointed, so you ask, okay, how would you feel if I could no longer use the product? Would you be very disappointed, or that's a man for you, or whatever? And if more than 40% will be very disappointed that you're gonna, take the product out of them, then you have a product market fit, you can scale your business. Some says that basically, if you have a product market fit, you will know it. And there are some tools for asking the questions. I always use Hotjar, Koala Rule. It's very simple tools. Hotjar is even for free, so you can always use. How many of you use Hotjar or know the product? Just try it. Very, very nice product for customer research. And if you have this product market fit and want to start working on growth, what to do next? And the key elements working on growth are strategy, because you have to know what to do, what you want to do, and the process, how we're doing it. Because, and this is the most important sentence of this presentation, there are no silver bullets. So I can tell you from my experience that quite often when I work as a growth manager, growth hacker, whatever, all the either investors or CEO was like, oh, okay, Adam, so tell me those 3 things, three growth hacks that allow me to grow 3 times faster. And this is impossible. Every business is different. Every customer base is completely different. So that's why the strategy and the process, so repeatable process that you can scale is very, very important. And work on growth demands really consistency, constant analysis, testing, and drawing proper conclusions. It's not accidental, and it's some of many small steps. And the key, again, is constant testing and analysis. It's quite often repeated in my presentation. It's testing, experimenting, and analysis, because it's really crucial for thinking about the growth. In many startups, there are dedicated teams only focusing on growth, so they And these are some of the companies that use it. So there's a separate team, as I said, a part of marketing, they're testing, figuring out new ways to improve the, for example, conversion rate, to improve the user behavior, whatever. If they believe it's working, they can tell the marketing department to implement it. And this is actually what's the graph that shows the growth of Twitter. The red line over here is when they did, in average, half of the test, half of the experiments a week. When they start to implement the process, the methodology, and they really focusing on improving the speed of testing. The green line is 10 tests a week. Then, as you can see, the growth really escalated. So, how to start working on this growth? First of all, you should get familiar with the framework. With the growth framework, I love and I use so-called pirate metrics from the acronym R. And this is a very nice framework that actually very logically shows you or tells you how your customer goes through the funnel. Everybody probably you know what the sales and marketing funnel is. So you start wide, you finish narrower. And it actually, when you understand it, you can easily think about how my user behave and how I should set up my business, my startup for growth. Then understand how the users behave, and then basically you see where the funnel is leaking. So you see on which step the funnel is leaking and what you should improve. And this is the growth the pirate metrics, the growth framework I use. The first part is acquisition, right? So you have to acquire the user somehow. Let's say you have an app or you have a website, right? So first thing that might lead to your business growth is acquisition, right? So think about what are the sources that people coming to my website. Is it paid channels, or are they like SEOs or free ones or referrals, whatever, right? Then they have to become activated. So there are many of users that will come to your website. After 5 seconds, they just bounce. They say, "Well, this is not for me," right? And what you should do is try to activate it. So just grab a hook, something that they're gonna, either leave an email address or buy something if you have an e-commerce, or I don't know, sign up for a trial account, whatever, right? Basically, they have to do everything for them to enjoy the first visit, and then it's retention. So if somebody comes to your website, sign up for your account, you have to do everything for them to retain, right? So them to come back. If people are coming back to your SaaS company, for example, or SaaS application, for example, they're gonna use it. If the people come back to your e-commerce site, then you don't pay for it, then they're more happy. Everybody who has a mobile apps know how retention is crucial for the business growth. And then if people are happy, are coming back, you can think about the monetization, right? So how to increase the revenue, right? It's very difficult to monetize users that are not happy, that do not come back. And if they are paying you, if they are happy, then you should do everything for them to refer your website to your friends, because it's the referral is the only way to get this hockey stick growth. And there are some examples. So, for example, Facebook. On the acquisition level, they use, in the beginning, of course, it's completely different now. So they use the PR, they use ambassadors at universities, so on. So like people were talking about, it's also word of mouth. So people were coming to the website, Facebook, they were activating, so signing up. Facebook actually also figured out that it's very statistical based, that they have to do everything in terms of onboarding. So basically guiding users to invite 5 or more friends, because if they invite 5 or more friends, they're more prone to come back. And this is actually what statistics, what number will tell you. When they are coming back, then you see what the friends are doing, right? Imagine like if you were opening a Facebook, nothing interesting is happening, right? So there's no retention, not coming back. If they are when they are coming back, then you can show them ads in the newsfeed, so to make money, and then everybody is asking their friends to join because you want to follow what they're doing. Dropbox very similar, so press, SEO, referrals, acquisition channel, activation. You set up your first account. Of course, it's for free. You're uploading the files, right? They're sending you emails. Okay, you have this, I don't know, 500 megabytes for free. Start testing us, and you basically start into uploading the files. You like the service because the service is great, and then you basically more space, so you have to buy it. Or the very well-known referral program they figured out, so maybe use it as well. If you invite your friends, you get more space, and this is how they grew. And Uber, very similar situation. So friends, press, SEO, referrals, acquisition, activation is the first ride, so it's most often for free. So you say, well, why not to try? You're coming back because you either have some free rides or you basically like the service and you start paying it, so it's the revenue. And basically you don't want to back to the regular taxis. And if you want to have the free calls as well, you have the referral program. You're sending you're inviting your friends to ride Uber with you. And when you understand how the users go down to the funnel, probably you start thinking about, okay, in my company, in my startup, how does it work? Then you have to know, and this is very important, to measure everything, right? Data is the only thing that don't lie. I mean, everything is right. If your boss is going to tell you should do it this way, or if somebody says you should do it that way, only the data can actually say which way was better. And this is very difficult to follow because there are many opinions, but you have to do it. And every decision should be should be based on data, because you don't know what to improve and what to do next. And in practice, it's worked like this, and you have to figure out this as well. So even if you have like 1,000 people coming to your website, some of them are going to be activated. It's only, for example, 10%, which is very good conversion rate. Only half of those people are going to be coming back. Only 2% of these people gonna pay, and maybe like half of the percent gonna refer. So if you pay for the acquisition, so for example, you pay for acquiring 1,000 users, but paying are only, for example, 20, and you have to figure that out actually, and use the data to see where the funnel, what to improve, where the funnel is leaking. And how to be smart. Again, experimenting is a key of success. You have to test new ideas, improve your funnel very quickly and cheaply, and basically scale up what works. And this is the only strategy, high-level strategy you should implement. There are two types of tests. Test to discover. So, for example, you rely on your acquisition on AdWords, and you've never done Facebook, right? And your experimental here would be, okay, I want to discover this acquisition channel. I've never done it before, so let's do some very small campaign and try to figure it out. What is the cost I can acquire a user for? If it's working or not, right? And test to optimize is that, okay, I have my AdWords campaigns, and my cost of acquisition, cost of install of my app is, for example, $2. And what to improve, what to experiment to make it lower, right? This is always an hypothesis, an experiment, because you're not sure if it's going to work or not. And this is again like the high tempo testing. So you use the methodology in weeks. I'm going to tell it in a moment about it. So if you start using it, then you're gonna grow. So you have to know the direction, have the proper framework, and implement this in an agile way. And everybody knows that this is basically, you build something, you have a hypothesis, very small test, you test it, you analyze it, and again. And the three things crucial for growth are the process, the system, and the team. And the process, so if you want to start using this methodology, first of all, you have to set up the goals to achieve metrics and strategy, either for a month, for a quarter, for a year. So I have to think about where I want to be in the next quarter, the next month. Okay, what's the state of my business right now? So for example, I have, I don't know, 2,000 active users, and I have to have 3,000 active users till the end of this year. It's very difficult. It's very important to have this numerical, this number, because then you can know what to go for. And also, which funnel are we working on right now? So do we have to, when we work on acquisition, or we have lots of acquisition, for example, coming from free sources, and we need to focus on retention. What are we strong at? The different skills in the team. What budgets do we have? What are the company goals to achieve, to align with? For example, my boss says they have to increase the revenue by 50% year over year, and how does it resonate with my growth strategy? What do we measure? What are the important KPIs for us, and what's basic growth for us? And when you have it, so you know in which direction you go, then you have to build a repeatable and scalable machine that looks like this. So first of all, it's ideation. You think about the hypothesis, the experiments you should do. Everything should be based on data. You prioritize them, try to figure out where are the low-hanging fruits. Implement the experiments, analysis, and so on. And for the ideation, I simply build a backlog of ideas. This is just a very simple Excel sheet that I say, okay, what's the idea? Simple. So what's the simple level of the idea? For example, I'm sending the newsletters, and I'm just putting the receiver name in the subject line. And this is going to be my experiment. You can put, for example, what you believe is the outcome. So, for example, my hypothesis is that if right now I have 20% open rate, and when I put the receiver's name in the subject, then it's going to increase by 5%, for example. And this is your hypothesis, and you try to score it. I'm going to tell it afterwards. But I always find the ideas from the competitors. It's very important to have this inflow of ideas all the time. And I watch the competition, read a lot from the growthhackers.com, Medium, Quora, whatever. I brainstorm with my team. I organize workshops just to figure out, okay, guys, what are the ways we can improve, for example, the acquisition, right? What haven't we done yet? Sometimes using external advisors of the company is very important. And always ask the entire company to participate. So everybody has an idea. It doesn't have to be the marketing growth team or whatever. Sometimes even customer service has great ideas. And always try to think about the ideas in a way to link it to a particular level of the funnel. Always have the hypothesis. Always have the metric. So metrics are also important because, as I said, for example, with the email example, but your hypothesis is that you're going to improve the opening rate by 5%. You implement the experiment and actually see if it's worked out or not. Exactly. So you know how to fail and succeed it, and everything is based on the data. In terms of prioritization, there are a few ways to use it. I like to use the ICE score. Which is from the impact, confidence, and ease. So every idea, you can score them on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 2, or 1 to 10. And you try to think about, okay, how high impact on the metric. So, for example, how high impact on the acquisition or the open rate, whatever this hypothesis is going to have, right? If we are really sure, when we are really sure that the impact is going to be strong, then we give 5. If we are not sure, we haven't done it before, then we have 1. Also, the confidence is how certain you are that it's going to work. And this is very simple. If you have done something before and it worked, then you are very confident. If your competitor, if all of your competitors do it, and this is standard in the industry, that's probably going to work as well. If you have an idea that, I don't know, you haven't seen it in any company yet, then the probably confidence is low. And the last one is ease. So how easy it is to be introduced. And basically, if you can do it without coding, then it's very easy. If you have to do it with the coding, it's like a new feature or whatever, it's going to be difficult. And you can also put the working hours if needed. Every company does it in a different way. You can calculate the total cost of implementing the experiment, and basically anything that suits your organization. And after the ideas, when you prioritize them, you basically have the ideas you should start working on from first. So you have like the ranking of the ideas that are going to give you the biggest business potential. And then you experiment, so you start testing the ideas in a weekly or 2 weekly sprints, so it's very important to have this pace. You have a hypothesis. So for us, the one example I already told about the open rate, the another one, so we have some traffic from Facebook in a week. So we know what we do right now. We tell what's our idea to increase it, and this is our hypothesis. Each experiment should have afterwards the experiment dog. So we implement the experiment, we run it for a week, for 2, and want to see if it worked out or not. So we create the experiment dog, which we say, what is the test, what was the hypothesis, what was the experiment configuration, what were the text graphics, did it work out or not, why did it work or not, what can we improve, what have we learned. It's very important to have this one, because really gives you the time to think and analyze it properly. And it's very important to have total focus on the sprint, on the tests in the sprint. So just try to implement as many tests as possible and do it as quick as you can. Some people also set up a weekly tempo goal, for example, 3 experiments a week. And then for the analysis, how to analyze the results. So basically, I use very simple 3 things. Either it worked out, did not work out, or we don't know, right? So we have a hypothesis. If it worked out, panic phase. If it didn't work out, sad phase. And if we don't know because we have not enough data, something didn't work out, then it's inconclusive. Also, if we do A/B tests, for example, maybe some of you know, but it's also you need to have the statistical significance, which means that sometimes you have to have a lot of users coming to your website to figure it out. And if it didn't work out, it's not a bad thing, it's because like 70%, even 80% of experiments just fail. But if you find this ones that work, then it's really gonna bring the growth. Then we have to systemize it. So again, analyze and describe every experiment, keep learning. And you can also introduce the weekly growth meetings, so where you set up the priorities and coordinate the growth. And this is like a very simple agenda, so you just see for 50 minutes what's the KPI review and focus area, what was the last week testing sprint, so what worked out and what didn't, what are the key lessons learned from the analyze experiment. So, for example, we are sure that we shouldn't, go for this particular user segment because it's like not our users, whatever. And then test selects for this week's sprint and check backlog of ideas. And don't forget about the proper tools, and for ideation and prioritization, I basically use, so for this idea backlog, I use simply Excel or Google Sheets or even Trello or whatever, like Kanban board when you can use the things. Okay, what are the experiments, what are the ideas, what we do next and so on. For experiments, I also use Trello. So we have, for example, the ideas to be introduced. What experiments are going on right now? What are in the analysis phase? What are what are, for example, done or analyzed, right? And for analysis, of course, many things, many tools, but Google Analytics, Firebase, Mixpanel, depending on the client I'm working with, and so on. There are so many of them. And when we know the process, when we know the system, then we can think about the team. It's also like a lot of discussion about the growth team, but basically you should always use the lean approach to also experiment. Try to figure it out first of all by yourself, the process, the system, the channels that work or not, very early experiments, and then if you feel that you need more help in some particular channels, or you figured out, okay, the Facebook ads are the way for me to grow, but I have no experience in Facebook ads, then hire freelancers, and then a full-time employee, and basically the growth team might consist of 1 to infinity, but it's very, very important just to have a growth master or a growth hacker, so somebody who's really responsible for the process, responsible for the ideas, and is only thinking about the growth. And to sum up, I have 2 minutes left. Some of you is like, yeah, finally. Work on growth needs consistency and a sum of small steps, small wins. There are no silver bullets, and you have to really understand that it's nothing bad in experimenting and being not sure what's going to work. Always measure everything. Use the spiral metrics framework. So the funnel as you grow framework, and try to understand your users using that way. Test everything, experiment, try to do as many experiments as possible, and always think about the process. So the process is very, very important. But also the system, tools, and people involved. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have some time left for questions. So, do you have any questions, Adam?
Adam, thank you for your talk. The question here is: imagine I have a blog, and I'm doing growth hacking, trying to increase revenue, and I put more and more ads, more and more pop-ups, and each time I do a weekly testing, I see that my revenue is increasing with these new added pop-ups and new banners, basically. But I'm not seeing the other problem that people get tired of this, and in the long term, in the long run, maybe in a year, I lose my audience because they don't want to visit my blog anymore.
Yeah.
How do you track these things, this long-term impact of this small?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's always very difficult because the thing is that the short terms are really increasing the growth, but the question is how it's gonna behave in the long term. And I have no answer for that, like the good way. You just have to talk to your users, and if you believe that, what's more important for you, right? Are they like having user base, like active? Probably yes. Maybe you can use some capping, so say like show only like pop up one for every user, so they're not very bored of it. This is what you can do. This is also something for test. But yeah, I would say try to talk to them. So you know how to work, and if they are very confused by the banners, don't do it. And try to figure out the other way to acquire new users, right? Yeah, you have to always think about what's the most important for my business, right? So for example, you can have lots of new users coming to your website, but if they don't stick to your blog, then what for, right? Very good question.
Okay, thank you.
So I basically have 2 questions, but they're connected to each other. So the first one is, you said that marketing is a part of growth only, and it shouldn't be a work of one man or one team, right? So could you please explain further, more detail, why is that so?
So I'm going to tell you as an example. So for example, there's a company, it's in Poland, it's called Dog Planner, and so of course it's a startup for registering a doctor's visit, and like the main focus for them is growth, right? But also they do branding or post things on social media for users to read, or do many other stuff that actually are not bringing the real growth. Like they understand the growth as a number of weekly visits, right? And so marketing has to do its own thing, right? But still, it's like in the direction of growth. And what the growth team does, they're doing everything that the sales team does, or the marketing team does, or customer service does. Try to put everything in the one basket. So try to think about what should be done. Maybe in terms of in terms of growth, we don't have to do marketing. We should do, for example, something more sales related, right? And they experiment. And for example, if they figure it out that, I don't know, they should change for the marketing team should change the time of the day they post stuff on Facebook. They go on it and go into the marketing team and say, guys, we figured out that if you change the time of posting, then our users are going to be more related, and they're gonna it's going to increase the number of visits, right? And they do it on the constant basis. So this is more or less how it works.
All right, thanks. So a second question is, you also mentioned that in growth team there should be a growth hacker or a growth master, the person who is only responsible for the big planning of what the growth team will be doing in the next week or month.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that it's actually like a dev lead, helper lead, or I don't know, just a team lead? What exactly does this position?
It really depends. The thing about it is that when you really need to focus on growth, you cannot be, for example, social media manager or I don't know, PPC manager and focusing on growth. They're not very related things, and it doesn't matter if it's like the team leader or whatever. It really depends on the business. But you have to have a dedicated person that's only focusing on growth, right? So it's not like part-time growth marketing or growth hacker, really full-time thing. Like the process implies a lot of thinking, a lot of analysis, a lot of taking a step back from the whole company and try to see all the problems or look for the problems from up. And simply, it's very operational reason. You cannot do it when you have many other stuff to be done. And this is the main reason. I mean, lots of companies try to do it. I also was at some point the growth marketing manager and growth hacker, and it simply doesn't work. So yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Actually, we have time probably for questions. Oh.
Hello, thank you. As a developer, I have a question. How can I prepare my code base for all experiments that marketing department can create?
How you can create your what?
My code base. I sometimes asking change color, sometimes asking UI change. How I prepare my code base?
Code base?
Yes, code base for all experiments that can be created.
Yeah, that's a good question. If the experiments are related to a product, then of course it's not an easy question. Are you doing mobile apps or web mobile apps? For mobile apps test, so in terms of the product, it's always about the A/B tests. And I think this is like the area when you could experiment. So for example, change something in the product for a particular segment of users. There are tools for that. I use myself Mixpanel. So this is like the analytical tool I told you about. So you basically set up all the events in the app. I don't know, what do you use for the event tracking? Firebase or, yeah. Firebase doesn't have, I mean, they have remote config, but it's not the A/B testing thing. No, probably they're gonna add it at some point. But so you can use the events tracking in the Mixpanel. You're gonna have the same thing, and they have dedicated A/B testing platforms. So you basically put a you know in mix panel in the tool, say which screen what you have to test for whom. You can easily say, okay, just I don't know, change the very simple example, change the size of a button only for users, only for example active users that are coming back or whatever, or only for new users on the registration form, right? And you do A/B tests, and the tool gonna tell you. So of course you can indicate that test only I don't know 10% of users, and my main KPI is for example signups or logins, whatever, and the tool itself gonna tell you after some time which variation you want. So it's relatively easy. So for your perspective, I mean it's very like for mobile apps, you know, it's a good idea to have a separate tool for A/B testing so that it's implemented in the code, because you will have to do like constant, you know, uploads to the shop, to the app stores and stuff.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay.